Hello everyone, this is Chemdork and welcome to another Buildcraft video. Another special video for you guys, and we are going to be working on the tree farm again. Just wanted to see this brand new day in Minecraft. Ah, lovely. But we're going to be working on this tree farm again right here. And if you recall from last time, we actually revamped this so that instead of using my 3 builders and 1 filler, right now we're just going to use... We only need to use 1 filler and 1 builder. And last episode we sort of realized the potential of using the pipe gates as a way to reset our filler. I am so damn excited about that. Whoa, yes. Awesome. And I'm not really sure. I think Endermen are here. Not really sure why. But we have this whole area right here for which to set my wiring. It's not going to take this much room. I mean, I can. I'm not going to be too stingy on it because I have plenty of room to wire. And I probably want to add to it a little later. I don't want to get too crazy in terms of making it super compact. I just want it to work. So, but we have this machinery here to set the lines, to set the filler, to reset it. But we want to make this automated, so we have to include this all in a circuit. And over here there's 2 lines, one for running the planting builder, one for resetting the planting builder. And then there's, again, these 4 lines over here. And that's all we need for the tree farm, actually, which is great. Besides the pipes and everything to return items back, but, you know, that's extra. So in today's episode, I want to get this wiring all done, and I want it to be sort of an operational system. And so, first of all, we'll start putting together the circuitry. And I could just go ahead and do it, and then just say, here's the circuitry, guys, but I thought maybe you might like to see a little bit of my process. So, a little bit of how I do this. And part of how I do this is to make a schematic of the redstone, and so I'll actually go ahead and show you guys this now. So it's a little easier for you to understand, perhaps, why I have these redstone circuits the way I do, and sort of how things are going to work. Alright, so I'll show you the diagram in just a second here. What you see before you is a diagram that shows the redstone logic behind the automated tree farm. Now I typically do something like this before any complicated redstone build, so that I can understand the redstone logic and circuits on paper before I go in-game and try to build it. This just makes sense for us to do the same thing here, since you're going to be seeing me build some circuits, and it'd be nice to know why I'm putting together an RS NOR latch, why I'm putting this timer in this place, etc. So let's talk a little bit more about this diagram, and it's easier to talk about it in phases because the tree farm itself can be separated into about 3 separate phases. The first phase is shown on the left side of this diagram here, and it's basically the planting phase. This is where the saplings are planted and everything is ready to go. This is run by that planting builder. The second phase is the growing phase. This is pretty simple, it's just a timer, and it's probably going to be about 20 minutes or so of growing. And this is where the saplings become trees. And then the third phase is the harvesting phase. This is where the blocks are all broken down and we get back the wood and reset the whole sequence all over again. And this is run predominantly by the harvest filler. So let's first key in on the planting phase of this diagram. So it's probably easier just to get rid of some of that redstone and follow the redstone circuit or the redstone current as it goes through the system. So if we push the start button, it sends out a redstone signal to the S input of the RS NOR latch. The S stands for set, and basically what this is doing in the RS NOR latch is when the S input is on, Q1 is on, and Q1 is an output. And that output is on, and it's a steady state on. It's just on. It's not a pulse, it's just on. And this initiates the planting builder and timer A. The planting builder remains running as it's planting, and the timer A remains running. Once timer A is done, it's going to send out a signal to the R input of the RS NOR latch. The R stands for reset. And that'll do 2 separate things. It'll shut off Q1 and S, and it'll turn on Q2. And Q2 is another steady state redstone signal output. And now that's going to that thing that's called plus edge on this diagram. That's a positive edge trigger. And for our purposes, we're not going to go into too much detail in terms of what it really does, but basically for us, what it does is take a steady state signal and turn it into a pulse. So it'll send a redstone pulse to timer B, which is the growing timer, and the builder reset function, which we put in last episode to reset the builder. Alright, so that's pretty much the planting phase, and now let's talk a little bit about the growing and the harvesting phase. So let's get rid of some of the spaghetti there. The growing timer would be running at this point. Once it finishes, it sends out a signal to the S input of the RS NOR latch over here, and again, that set input turns on Q1. Q1 is then on, and the harvest filler is running. And it'll run, it'll remove all the blocks, and when it's finished its work, if you recall from last episode, we had it send out a redstone signal. And that signal will be run right to the R, or the reset input of the RS NOR latch here, which again shuts off S and Q1 and turns on Q2. Q2 again is hooked up to an edge trigger, which sends out a pulse, and that goes right back to the harvest filler. It'll send out a signal to loop the harvest filler. It'll tell it to loop, and after a short delay, it'll tell it to turn on. Now this particular sequence of events, telling the harvest filler to go into loop mode and then on mode, is needed to reset the harvest filler using the pipe gates, which we saw from last episode. And then the final part of that is that edge trigger sends a pulse at the same time out to the set line of the initial RS NOR latch, and it goes back full circle and we're all done. So let's go ahead and build this in Minecraft now that we have a better understanding of how everything is going to work. There, wasn't that fun? Alright, so let's go ahead and build something. Alright, we're going to start with the planting side, which in this case is over on the right side here. The two lines we have to deal with are the planting builder and the plant builder reset. The planting builder to planting builder means this line, when it's on, the planting builder is going to be on, and when we send a pulse to this plant builder reset, this will reset the planting builder. And then at some point there's going to be a start line, something that'll initiate the whole thing, and I'll put that in somewhere. We also do have some room below this, so we can go down into a sub basement, which I probably will end up doing for some of the lines that are going to run to go here. But that's for later. For now, let's just get this whole level here set up. Okay, let's go ahead and put in our first RS NOR latch and hook up all the wires to it, just like I was showing you before. So I'll be back after I set up that RS NOR latch. Alright guys, so I have the RS NOR latch, which is right here with the blue wool, and the edge trigger here for the planting section of or planting phase of this tree farm. So the wiring is all set. It's currently, this would be your Q1 line, the first output. The other side is the Q2 output, and actually, the set input is actually adding any current to any of this redstone that's connected to this Q1 line. And likewise, the reset would be adding redstone current to any function on this side of the RS NOR latch. So for example, if we just set, if we added current here, see how it stays on? This is essentially in the Q2 phase, or the reset phase, and this set function is now off, no matter what. I can keep on adding current, but it does nothing over here. If I add current back over here, it does that. So actually, this is the edge trigger. Remember I said it turns a steady state into a pulse. So when I change sides, pay attention to that redstone line. So when I do this, nothing happens to it, right? It stays off. If I put it back here, though, watch that line and see what happens. See how it turned into a pulse? It went on and then turned off. That's what I'm talking about. That's the function of this. So if you recall in the scheme, this is actually, this edge trigger is now connected to, I'm sorry, this edge trigger wasn't in the scheme at all. I needed a pulse from this, so I had to actually add this in here. This is split to go to our timer, which is what we're going to be putting in right now. And I decided I should use a pipe timer. Reason being because I haven't used one before, and it also is pretty suitable for this. So I want it to be about 45 seconds, which means a few segments of pipe. We can count them out. Yeah, let's go. So that would be 5 seconds. At the end of this would be 10. At the end of this would be 15, 20, 25, 30. I think we're going to do a turn here. 35, 40, 45 at the end of this. So that means I'll put a gate on this piece of pipe. Right, so again, that's 5 seconds per pipe segment, so it's 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, and then it'll be done, and then it'll turn on this redstone signal, and we'll run it like this. I think we probably want a repeater in here. A lot of times I like to separate my segments with repeaters. This also allows us to add a little more if we want, and if we even want more time, if that's not enough time, or if I'm a little worried that it's cutting too close, I can actually use this segment instead. So if we right-click on this, we'll set it to when items are traversing, send out a redstone signal, and then that will initiate the switch. So let's test it right now. And in order to do that, we need to switch it back here. This also prevents redstone current from going backwards, which I like to do with repeaters a lot. And then we'll put it this way. Oh, we need to put something in the chest. Let's put a torch or so. Let's put like 3 torches in there, just for fun. Okay, so it sends out a pulse when it's switched. And that's 5 seconds, 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds, 3, 4, 5 seconds, 2, 3, 4. I'm getting tired of waiting, huh? But there's our timer. So this'll set. It's very very good timer. Actually, I would say if you want to build any of these timers, and they're pretty small for what they do as well, so that they work pretty well. And items essentially never despawn out of these things. I think they can bug out eventually, so I don't know if I'm going to ever run into that problem. We'll see. If so, I'll have to add an ERD circuit to this. But this should switch the RS NOR latch. And there you go. Totally switched. Cool. Yep, there it is. And then it's back and ready for action again. Sweet. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put in the edge trigger now, which we'll just do right now. To build an edge trigger, if you haven't put one before, you put a block there. 3 repeaters. Just, you can shorten this, but this pulse will give you something like a button pulse. Yeah, that's pretty much what I have there. It's enough to run a redstone engine. So put a torch there. I'm just putting it on the side. You don't have to put it on that side. Piece of redstone, and then run the wire like that. Torch there, and then, oop, come on, come on, come on. Oh, wait, you know what? There we go. And then some redstone wire on top, and there you go. So this is not turning on right now, but if you look at this, let me just cut that off. We'll switch it, and then switch it back, and you'll see this torch come on and off. See, it's on, and then it's off. Pretty cool. Alright, so we'll switch it back to here, and I'm not going to connect that just because it'll screw things up. And then we need to connect this to the reset line. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15. Wow, it should actually work. It should actually work to do that. Let's see if it does. We want to make sure that torch turns off. It does. Cool. Alright, awesome. So that's set to reset. And I believe... Oh, I see the template. I see the template. It should be there. Where am I? Where am I going? I want to make sure this resets. Yep. Yep, it just went back in. Okay, cool. So that worked. Alright, so awesome. And then the second part of this edge trigger, it goes to the timer, which is going to be a dispenser timer. And I'm just going to go ahead and make one of those. I'll do it off camera. If you haven't seen a dispenser timer before, we're actually going to talk a little bit about the dispenser timer in another episode. So I'll put that in. I'll put that in now and talk to you about it in the other episode. So see you in a bit. So actually, I lied. Let's go ahead and build the dispenser timer. Why not, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and build it out of blue wool because it's kind of cool. And just in case you haven't seen one of these before, essentially each dispenser is going to be 5 minutes, so this will be a total of a 20-minute timer. And yes, I am putting it in a specific sequence. So that's the first one. Second dispenser right here. Then you put a torch there. Block on the top. Dispenser on top. And I'm just kind of snaking it around this way. This is a good way to conserve a little space. But it also serves another purpose for me. And so the pad would be, that's the first one. That's the second, that's the third, and then that's the fourth. That's how the item's going to travel around. And then we'll just encase it in glass. In fact, we'll just do that. Yeah, why not? Let's not forget about this. And let's keep doing this. Glass, glass, glass. Glass, glass, glass. Glass, glass, glass. And then we'll just go ahead and... Oops. Yeah. Okay, we'll go ahead and fill up the dispensers. I think that's all the glass I need. Yep. Okay, everything's enclosed. So we'll go ahead and fill up the dispensers. I guess dirt. I just wanna put a few in there just for now. I'll have to remember later. That's the second one. That's the third one. And that's the fourth one. All right. And now let's test it. This is not really connected to anything anymore, so let's switch this RS NOR latch back, and then let's get rid of that. Switch it on. Oops. That was supposed to. Oh, yeah. Okay, it took a second to figure it out. I think it was, yeah, weird. But you hear that? It's the tick, and now there's a piece of dirt here. There's another tick for the dispenser. That's number 2. That's number 3. And that's number 4. Okay, so that'll be 20 minutes by the time it gets through that whole sequence. Okay, so there's our dispenser timer. I'm going to go ahead and run this to the next part, which is, this is timer B. This is the growing timer. And then the next part, and by the way, 20 minutes is a guess, so we might have to extend this a little more. I'm going to give myself a bit more room just in case. The next part is going to be to go over there to the RS NOR latch for this guy. And the wiring is essentially finished. For our test case, we can actually have our tree farm running now if we wanted to. It's fully operational. Except it doesn't have any switches. I have to like manually cut wires and stuff to stop it here. But everything is done. So there's our dispenser timer that we just put in. If needed, I'll make room over here. It's actually currently running the system, but not quite. Okay, so because the planting builder isn't really hooked up at all. So I actually had to put in an edge trigger here for reasons that the edge trigger, not only does it turn a steady state into a pulse, it can control when that pulse is sent. So in this case, this is normally on. When the item gets dropped on the pressure plate, this turns off. And I want it to send a pulse when it turns back on. So that's why the positive edge trigger. This is a classic good example of when to use an edge trigger. So, oops, I forgot I needed one of those, but let's just call that part of timer B. Here is the RS NOR latch for the harvest section. The set line is right here, and this is also Q1, set and Q1 together. This goes all the way to the harvesting filler, so when we finish out of growing, it gets stuck into this harvest filler stage. At that point, the harvest filler does its thing, realizes it's done, and or once it completes, it realizes it's done, sends a signal, this redstone signal down here, because this is when it's done or in the off state. It sends a signal, to the other side of this RS NOR latch. And then, like I said, there's an edge trigger that then splits the signal. One part of the signal, it's hard to see, but one part of the signal is going essentially this way toward these doodads. There's the loop set mode, which is the blue one. And then there's the green signal here, which is set to a delay. And the delay is a longer time period than the pulse that's sent. That's very important, actually, because I want it to send the pulse of blue, turn off, and then a short while later send a pulse of green. I don't want it to send a pulse of blue and then start sending green while the blue is still on. I want it to be on, off, on, off. And you'll see that in a second. So let's actually go ahead and do that. Oh, wait. And then the second part of the signal from the edge trigger is actually going down there. It turns off this torch, and we can get down there into the sub-basement area. Because this wire goes all the way down to here to this torch. It'll end up turning on that torch, and that torch is right below this block right here. And this block is the set Q1 line for the planting builder once again. So again, I don't have the planter hooked up right now, but the reset function is actually. And yeah, let's go ahead and test this last part out. So assume that let's test it out from the timer, this timer thing. So all right, so it's in that state currently. So let's give it. Actually, let's test the whole thing out. All right. So the set line has been done. So what happens is it's now planting. The signal went to this edge trigger. It triggered the release of the torch from this timer. And in 40 seconds, or 45 seconds, I'm sorry, this will turn off. It'll switch this RS NOR latch and shut off the signal to the planting builder. At the same time it does that, it turns on. It sends a signal through this edge trigger, which splits the pulse. In one way, it goes to plant builder reset, and in the other direction, it goes to the dispenser timer. I'm just going to go ahead and do this. I don't know why I like to do that in various locations, just to make sure. So we'll see it switch and send a signal to the... Oops. Whew. There's already a block there. That's weird. And it's empty. Okay, that's fun. Okay, these are empty. Alright, so it'll go through the sequence now that these things are empty. Okay, shuts off the signal. Notice that there's no pulse going. I'm going to back up here, and you'll notice the pulse gets sent. And then when the pulse gets sent, it's going to be very quick because it's not much to clear up there. There's no blocks, in fact, up top. So there's nothing for the harvest filler to clear. So almost instantaneously, it's going to realize that it's done its job, and it's going to send a signal down this line. This line is going to be in the state it's in currently, but going into this state will trigger a pulse to be sent from this torch down to reset the whole thing, and to reset the harvest filler by sending a signal to blue and then to the green line. Okay, so we'll see all that happen once I grab this piece of dirt. So, pulse is sent. Harvest filler was on, and now it says it's off. It sent the signal, and yeah, that happened real quick. It happens really, really, really quick. So let me just do it again, this one part. And, well, let me get rid of these redstone torches, because that'll otherwise set it off again. So let's do it again. Okay, it says it's... It should say it's... Oh, right, we need to wait for a second. That's right. Oh, okay, yep. Cool, alright, that worked. Okay, yeah, that totally worked. And again, this torch went because it sent a signal down to set it. And yeah, this tree farm's operational. If there's items in there, it would be setting off the dispenser timer to grow right now. And then we'd be doing this again. And this might be a little too quick based on the combustion engines cooling down. We'll see in a second. No, seems okay. Blue, and then green. And then there goes the torch again. Ah, it's awesome, awesome. Okay, guys, this is a very colorful wire room, right? And that's about the time we have for this episode. We probably went over. I don't know if we did, but I'm pretty sure we did. Next episode, I don't think I'll be doing tree farm stuff. If I do, it'll just be sort of an update on what I did to the wiring and any other cool features that I added. Other than that, we'll be working on something different. Okay, well, thanks a lot, guys, and see you in the next episode. Take care. Come on, tree farm timer. Come on, tree farm timer. Yes. Oh, redstone's great. Yes, redstone.